if Sonny just kicks it into the net.
You tell Son to curve it into the goal. I mean that's coaching, right?
Technically.
Right.
I
Every
had
time
I
a
had
guy.
Spurs money line yesterday, and I bet it at Bet365, and it was so much more enjoyable watching the game, being like, even though they might blow this 3-0 lead, the bet is over. I won the bet.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. We are currently live. Let me pull up the manage. Perfect. There we go. Or wait. Yep. Let me go here. And okay, I got the chat up. I got the link here. Let me just tweet it out. Okay. But no, it was great. It was great yesterday. That was awesome. I
It's
enjoyed
entertaining.
that. I enjoyed it very much. Now you get a back-to-back, or I don't know when you guys played Liverpool in the cup, obviously this weekend.
February 3rd,
February. It's February. Okay.
3rd. No, it's January. January 6th, week of.
Yep. Okay. I've tweeted out the link. Let me post it in the Discord. Alrighty. All right. We'll wait for some people to join here. Mr. Nice Guy's here. That's good. All right. How many people we got in here so far? Yeah, let me do 1 second. I think I gotta do gallery view. No, I'm on gallery view. Okay. We're good. All right. We got 10 people in here right now. Let me pull this up. There we go. Oh, we got 18 in here right now. Okay, we can
There we
get
go.
started. We can talk a little bit. Okay, how's everybody doing? Yeah, match week 17. Anthony's back. Thank you, Anthony, for joining me again off of a amazing Tottenham win yesterday against United. Just an utterly hilarious match that I thoroughly enjoyed. Um, but first of all, how you doing?
I am doing well. It is a very hectic time of the calendar and life in general, but
Mm-mm.
and I've paid like less attention, I think, to college hoops than I maybe ever have, and that's just the nature of kind of trying to
Yeah.
balance soccer and the NFL at the same time. And football is coming to a head, and my picks have been awful there, but soccer's been okay. So we're hoping to keep the good times rolling. So
Yeah. Well, I see you're wearing the Gladbach shirt. We'll get to them
yeah, we're
later
back. I
because we're
wore
so
this
back.
on
Yeah.
Monday for our record, and it happened to be sitting next to my desk.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wear it again because I'm betting them
Yep.
this weekend, and they're back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so what we're gonna do today is just like, we would typically do on Wonder Goal. We're gonna do all 10 Premier League matches. We're gonna go through La Liga, Bundesliga, and Serie A. Ligue 1 is off until beginning of January, so we won't do
Thank goodness.
that. Yeah, thank goodness.
So
I was writing my big long Substack article, and I had gotten through two just gross games in Spain. And I was like, oh gosh, all right, now let's see what we got to do in Spain. I was going through everything, and I was just like, wait, I don't see anything for this weekend. I'm like, oh, okay, because I was going through live score. I'm like, oh, I don't see League On. Where is that? I'm trying to figure out the times of when these games are happening. Oh, it's not till January 3rd. Lovely. Okay, so that helps things. All right, so let's start off with Tottenham. Why not? Big one. Uh, is it excuse me, is it still called White Hart Lane or is it the Tottenham Stadium?
I mean, it depends on who you ask, but
Okay.
I think
Whenever I write, I always want to say White Hart Lane, but I'm like, is it still called that? I don't know. All right, let's pull up real quick because I'll be honest, I'm a little tempted to take Spurs here.
me too.
A little tempted by the price. But Liverpool is a minus 138 road favorite. Tottenham plus 350. The draw 3-1. Total is still sitting, it's above 3.5 now. Actually, total of four is plus 115. I'm tempted by Tottenham. I would love for a semblance of a back line to be healthy to play them because I think you're seeing. the problems with Dragishin, Fraser Foster, and not Archie Gray because he's actually very good on the ball. But that combination of trying to consistently play out of the back, I think is a problem. So um, that's kind of where I'm at. Is like I'm curious, tempted by Spurs, but I don't think I can do it. What about you?
So there have definitely been, to my eye and to the numbers, a bit of a decline in Liverpool's defense, which, going back to what we thought about them preseason, it never, they had the more control with Slot, but it didn't feel like it was sustainable. And I think that was the one thing where you could look and be like, okay, Slot has done some things. Their defense looks better, but do we think it's a real change or something that over time will kind of just go back to what Liverpool is? And it's not, Klopp Liverpool defense from like last season level yet, but it is worse. And you've seen that now. Newcastle puts three on them. Fulham scores twice. Was in behind before Andy Robbo took the red card. Like there's just been a little bit leaky nature to their defending, and as a result of that, Liverpool is pretty vulnerable here at this number. They closed minus 120 at Newcastle 2 weeks ago, so there's been a real market downgrade of Spurs for them to be minus 130 at Spurs. And I know there's some injury issues for the defense, but the defense is always bad for Spurs, so it's not.
Yeah.
I don't really know that I can get to this number. I actually, quite frankly, can't get to this number and do like Tottenham.
Yeah.
Just the question is like, what's the best way to play them?
Right. So for example, before accounting for injuries, I would have Liverpool at plus 112, which
Yeah,
I think is a fair line. Now
plus
it's like how
104 for
much
me.
does Romero, Van de Ven, and even Ben Davies all not being available back there matter? Is it worth 50? Is it worth, 40 cents to the line essentially? I'm not so sure. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm like, do I just take a shot on the Tottenham money line and just play it that way and just kind of hope they win? Because like obviously this is going to be very back and forth, and they've priced us obviously out of the total here because it's rising and it's getting close to four.
Yeah,
Which I mean, I don't even want to think about playing the under.
me neither.
I don't want to entertain that thought. So yeah, that's where, I think we're kind of both on the same line here is that, and I'm not sure because here's a question that I have, Anthony. I'm going to look this up right now. Do you know if um, Romero or Van de Ven are going to be back by Boxing Day?
No.
Because they are currently a slight road favorite at Forest.
Yeah,
And
that's a
I
bad matchup for
Yeah, and I've
Spurs.
played I've played Forest already.
Okay.
You can get draw no bet at plus 102 right now. I haven't typed in my projections for the look ahead yet. I'm gonna assume here, I'll just do it right now live. But I'm assuming that I'm gonna have Nottingham Forest
A favorite.
as a favorite. That would just be my guess.
You
Maybe not.
maybe.
Actually, I have it kind of around where the market has it. Obviously, not accounting for injuries. So if you count for the injuries, I would probably make Nottingham Forest a favorite there. So yeah, I've already played them. Obviously, they're incredible at set pieces and good in transition and out wide in areas. So that's a little look ahead for everybody right there. All right, let's move on
Real
to
quick.
yeah.
Yeah, Romero and Van de Ven, as of last week, there was no update. I'd imagine it's going to be a like January thing for them, early January, especially because they rushed them back a little bit for that Chelsea game, and it immediately backfired, and they got more injured. So it looks to me like January for both. And Ben Davies has a chance to play for Boxing Day, I think.
Okay.
Udogi will be back for the weekend, so it's not.
Hmm.
It's the center backs really. That's the main thing
Yeah.
here.
And
Otherwise, they're not in
Vicario
bad shape.
Vicario's out till March, it looks like
Yeah.
right now. That's not good. So
No.
yeah, not ideal. So
What's
okay,
Tottenham to score first?
what is that right now?
What do you
Let's
think it
look at
is?
let's look at this. I bet you there.
Plus 140, 50?
Yeah, it's probably somewhere in there. Let's look it up here. Um, Trying to figure out.
Where would that even be under? I'm looking at FanDuel right now, but I
Yeah, I'm looking at
365.
yeah, I'm gonna look at goals here. Somebody in the chat help me out if you can find it. Um, Both, let's see, teams to score. Maybe that's it. No. first.
Tottenham score first half -110. I can't find Liverpool to win from behind +450 is
Okay,
interesting.
that is
If you
interesting.
like Liverpool, I think that's like a fun way to potentially play them.
Yeah, because like I mean, here's the thing: Tottenham went up 3-0 against United, and then just United picked two high turnover goals off of them, off of just like dumb mistakes from Fraser Foster. So I don't know. Does Tottenham sign a goalkeeper in January? That's a good question.
I don't think so. Goal
Okay.
before 20th minute -120.
I have last team to
I can
score.
find everything except first team to score.
Yeah, I have last team to score. Oh, here we go. First team to score. Tottenham +162. There you go.
I like that.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so if you want something for this match, Tottenham to score first at +162, then you don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about the comeback.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about all these mistakes at the back. So, all right. So let's go now to the lunchtime kickoff. And it's a pretty good one, honestly.
Hate when they put the
Villa
good games on
versus
this early.
yeah, Villa versus City. Villa's +220, City's +115. The draw is at +270. Total is sitting at 3, -10 both, -110 both ways. Um, I really want to play Villa here. And I'll let you go first. And I think I found a way to potentially do it.
You like the team total, right?
Yeah, I
I don't
do.
disagree. I think it's interesting, and this is kind of a bigger overarching Villa question. Would they ever play Watkins and Duran together?
I mean, Unai has played a 4-4-2 at Villarreal forever, right?
Right.
Like, why wouldn't he
hmm
just do that here? I don't know
And they
why.
should. And quite frankly, like it's kind of been the story of Villa's season. Besides Emi Martinez not being as good, and that's cost them some
Yeah.
points. They're just not getting a lot of production from their non-Watkins attackers slash Duran, and they often kind of split them. So one starts, one comes off the bench for the other, or they don't. They've never started a match together this season. Duran's had 4 starts total, 5 if you count the EFL Cup. So they're up to like 25 xG, which is fine, but it's not great, and a lot of it is because Leon Bailey's been bad, and so they could make it work tactically, I would love to see them together because they're both having pretty good shot seasons and like they're both going to be good in transition the way they're naturally like skill set is. And Duran is pretty good defensively, work rate wise, and Watkins is a pretty good passer. So like they don't have the same skill set going like overall, but they both get a lot of shots. And so I think it would be in Villa's benefit, and I would love to see it. I don't know that we will, but
Yeah.
that's just kind of an overarching Villa question because right now Villa is one of the more underrated teams if you just compare XG to goals. And they're so comfortable at sitting in kind of like a mid block and hitting teams in transition. So that's kind of a very easy, simple blueprint to beat the City team right now. And where's City right now? They're down to 13th in
Yep.
XG allowed this season. So
Yep.
right next to Spurs, Man United, Brighton, and Wolves.
Yeah, it's bad. So I think the question with Villa, because obviously they play the 4-2-3-1, is if you put Duran on, you have to take Morgan Rogers off, right? Because they would play Tielemans and whether it be Onana or Kamara as the defensive midfielder there, and then you can play Leon Bailey if he's healthy at right mid, and then John
I
McGinn
would
at left mid.
I would think about dropping Leon Bailey for what it's worth, but
Yeah,
just to try it.
he's probably not going to play in this match. He's injured, so it looks like it's gonna be Matty Cash again
Right.
out
And it's like, all
wide.
right, do we want Matty Cash or do we want play Duran and Watkins?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I like Villa team total over 1.5. Projected them for about 1.6 goals in this match. Um, I mean, it's like the same story every week, right? Like I don't think that there is a situation where City's defense is going to have this like drastic improvement. Now, I wrote this up, but getting Kovacic and John Stones back obviously helps their situation because they had to have a very makeshift type of, back line and defensive midfield pairing against Manchester United. So I think you may see Pep go back maybe more towards a 4-1-4-1 and just use Kovacic as that single defensive midfielder. But again, he's old and he can't cover the ground that, Rodri or somebody younger could do. Last 10 matches for City, 20.8 expected goals allowed. And I said it's not a fluke. This is a real problem. And the other problem is if you watch the match against United, they were kind of hesitant, I thought, to press United just like all out and try to, force them into long balls. And United actually did a really good job building through those wide areas. Their just decision making wasn't really that good once they got past that. And that is exactly the way that Villa wants to play, right? They like to get the ball out wide, use wide triangles to try to, evade the pressure and either get it back, the ball back centrally or play those balls over the top or balls in behind high lines. And City is continuing to play a high line, and Pep is not going to change that. So if that is continuing to happen, like I don't see a scenario where, Villa doesn't create at least, 1.5 expected goals in this match. Also, they're just like there are some teams in this league, Anthony, I know you know this, that are just like way, way better at home, and then they just suck on the road. And it's like it's always hard to like stomach a bet on teams like Newcastle or Villa on the road. But Villa at home, since the start of last season, is averaging over 2 expected goals per 90. So I like them team total over 1.5 at plus 135. We'll see, the high line if it worked against City last year and they beat City at Villa Park. If I remember right, City tried to play Phil Foden at left wing, and they just didn't play any long balls over the top, and there was no space in the middle.
There was a bunch of
So
injuries for that game, right? Wasn't
there
it?
was,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Didn't Villa beat him twice?
no, City, I mean, maybe in a cup,
No, City
but
crushed him at home. That's right. I
City
remember that
crushed them.
game.
Yeah, it
Second
was on
half
the
of the season.
stretch when they,
Yeah.
won the
But
title.
that was one of the worst games City played all year at
That
Villa Park.
was, yeah. I remember because they created like zero point 0.6 expected goals or something like that. It
And they had
wasn't,
like two shots after the 20th minute. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like it was really bad. Now, I think you'll see City, I don't know if you feel this way. They should just play Doku and Savino at wingers every single match. And because if they keep wanting to overload that middle and you want to get in 1v1s, I mean, Doku was really the only one like doing anything against United. Otherwise, they didn't do much. Um, so yeah, Villa team total over 1.5 for me, in this match. Really just kind of wanted to figure out a way to play Villa, and I was kind of close in terms of my projections to the market, but I'm at low value on the team total there.
If you take priors out, if I just remove all data from last season, just
Yep.
pretend that it never happened, which you can't do because City is Man City, but I would make Villa a favorite here.
Yeah, I would have to go in
I
and
was
look at
playing
the
around with some
here.
weights the other day, and
Here, I'll play with my weights really quick, and I'll tell you.
I got to Villa as favored as plus 132 on the money line. If I just threw out everything, because like you said, the home stuff for Villa has been really good. The City
Yeah,
numbers, their XG difference in 11 on 11 this year is worse than Villa's, and we're meaningfully into the season now. We're 16 games in, so I was like, wait. This is how bad it is for them, and I had
I
Villa. I agree with your bet. I mean, every time I adjusted that, it was almost entirely the City defense. Now, when
I
you
have
watch City, the attack is worse too
yeah
because the Holland reliance has been over. Everybody's talking about that, but he's only scored 3 goals in the last 13 league games
yep.
or 12, 11 league games. So he hasn't been that good. Uh, yeah, there's all
I
kinds of problems. They
yeah
they can't
I
find the balance. There you go. I'm watching I pulled up your numbers.
yep, one plus 143 for
Yeah.
Villa.
And I got all the way to plus
Team
132,
total,
134.
yep.
Yeah.
Team total 1.87 if we just took this year's data. Interesting. I might do that later. Just go through and just
Just see
all
what it would be on every
just see
game.
what it would
Yeah.
be. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Brentford and Forest. Only three 10 a.m. kickoffs. We got a huge slate on Sunday. I'll be honest, I felt bad because I was going through everything. I was like, other than like Villa, I was like, I don't really like anything on Saturday. So I feel like everything's gonna be loaded up for Sunday. But anyway, Brentford's plus 130, Forest is plus 190. The draw is at plus 260. Total is 2.5 minus 138 to the over. I got nothing here. I think that the line is right. I mean, you could definitely make a case for Forest here. I think, but Brentford is just a completely different team at home, and a lot of that has to do with the schedule, right? Like Brentford's has great results at home this season, but they've also played all of the non teams at the top end of the table, and then they've played all the hard teams away from home. It's been a very weird schedule for the Bees. So For me, I'm just passing. I don't really have anything here. I like both these teams, and I don't. We used to say this with Brentford and Brighton back when Brighton was, a darling. It's just like, trying to pick between your two kids. Like I can't do it right now. Um, that's for me. Anything for you in Brentford and Forest?
Nothing. Yeah, I had thought originally I was like, oh, like we might get pick a minus 110, 15, and I would have backed
Yep.
Brighton or Brentford rather, but it wasn't right. So I got to lay like a spread here, and Brentford's defense is just not good anymore. It hasn't really been good for a year and a half, and it's now not just the XG allowed, but also or not just the goals allowed, but also their XG numbers. Like they play such wide open games.
Hmm.
Um, from a total perspective, this is one of those games where in the past year and a half, I have played under 2.5 and been like, this is the kind of game where it won't be as chaotic as other Prem games because Forest can shut
Yep.
it down and Brentford can't break down low blocks as well. And then the game just goes over anyway. And I'm like, why did I bet that again? Like, I'm trying to squeeze out like this fake value in games that
Yeah.
just to have action. And I don't really want to do that here. So, yeah, this one wasn't on my card.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, let's move on. Some guy just said I miss Wonder Girl more than my childhood pets. You must not have had nice childhood pets, man. All right. Let's move on to let's do West Ham and Brighton. Uh, West Ham is plus 187, Brighton plus 135, draw at plus 270. Total is 3 minus 120-ish, somewhere in that range. 3 minus, actually minus 130, 33. Um, I was So I was potentially looking at Brighton shots here, just
Yeah.
because if you go through all of their data in the matches where matches typically like this, where they are the ones that will control possession and be the ones on the front foot, they typically average a ton of shots. Their low shot totals have come when they're playing against some of the big boys, but that's really the only thing I would say. The line keeps coming down here for Brighton. Now they do have a couple injuries that we have to monitor as well, but. I mean, if you just want to lay Brighton on the money line, like I have them around plus 120, which that's right around where they opened. And right now, it looks like Danny Welbeck is going to be out. Hinchelwood is out. But again, this is the same thing I say with, teams like Brighton. And it's starting to become similar to what was the other team I was thinking about when I was talking about this? It'll come to me. But where they just have so much depth that it's just like, all right, well, Hinchelwood is out. Okay, so we'll just play Baleba and Yeri as their, midfield pairing, and it'll be fine, Or if Welbeck's out, okay, they'll just bring in Evan Ferguson, and and he'll be the
Hmm.
striker. You know
Is
what
he
I mean?
good?
I,
I don't know
I
anymore.
don't know if he's good now because nobody will play him. I think it's, what I think it is. I think he's just terrible out of possession, and no coach just wants to deal with it. I think that was the problem that De Zerbi had with him, and I think Hersler's having that same issue with him. But again, like. You know, I mean, the West Ham defense is still terrible. There's no,
Horrendous.
it's just it's so awful. 17th in expected goals allowed. Yeah, it's really bad. So yeah, I would potentially look at Brighton shots. Projected them for about 17 shots in this match, or a little over that. Brighton most crosses completed into the penalty area of anybody so far in the Prem. Um,
Kind of
what's
fits the narrative I'm about to talk about. But
All right. Well, why don't you go ahead and talk about that narrative then?
yeah, we got to start fading Brighton against these bad teams. We've seen this number time and time again, and they're just not that good of an attacking team anymore.
Yeah.
Like they're like a poor man's Man City in a way, where like when Man City have had their problems, it's a lot of possession, it's a lot of low quality chances, and their attacking players just aren't that good. And I like Danny Welbeck; he's a fine striker. He's perfectly average, but the whole thing about Brighton when De Zerbi was cooking with gas and they were a top five attacking team and they were putting up these gaudy numbers, that really just hasn't been true for a year and a half. And Brighton finished last season below average in XG4. And you look at the number right now, and they're right around 11th in XG for the season, 12th. So it's just like a mediocre attack. And how they get there, I think, is intuitive because you mentioned the taking a ton of bad shots. They've been below average in shot quality for the last 2 years, and shots per 90, they're in the top half. So you're watching a team who is like sixth or seventh in getting shots, but they're very often low quality. They are from a below average shot distance. And then the trade off with that is they're giving up high quality chances on the break because they're not that good defensively. So they're just losing that trade off so often. And it shows up in every game they play against mediocre teams where you're like, Brighton probably should have won that. But then they just kind of don't heat here. They drew Southampton 1-1 in a game where they were marginally better, but not good enough, giving up enough that they can't get separation. They lose to Fulham. They blow that lead against Leicester, which was still shocking to me. And then they lose to Palace. So they're not playing murderer's row here. And they were, in that game they closed a dog, I think, to Fulham, but they were chalk in every other game. And as chalk, they're just not all that good.
Mm, I
So
agree.
I think I don't want to say most overrated team in the league, but I'm like nearing that point where I just don't really think that this team what is the upside for Brighton in this system with these players? And there's only one answer for me.
What is that answer?
That Evan Ferguson is really, really, really good and like starts playing like it again.
Yeah, that would
Because
be
that's
great,
the
right?
case, right? Like they have to be an elite attacking team to make up for the system not being that good, and they're just not. They haven't been for over a year now.
I mean,
They're a perfectly good team. I mean, they're probably going to finish 10th, 11th,
yeah.
12th, ninth, whatever. But I just don't really see the ceiling anymore when you watch them.
For what it's worth, I mean, West Ham has created more expected goals than them.
Yeah,
So I think that maybe can tell you everything you didn't need to know about them. Yeah. Um, Brighton is kind of in a sense to me, this kind of goes along with your narrative as well, is a team that can punch above its weight against some of the bigger teams, right? Like they've had good results against City. They obviously had the red card against Arsenal. They beat Tottenham. They beat Newcastle.
if you
Even
count United, they beat them too.
they beat
But
United too. Like they punch up well against the big boys, and then once they play some of these worse off teams, it kind of becomes a struggle. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact is just maybe this goes all the way back to Zerbi. It's just like if teams just sit in a low defensive block, can they actually break them down? I don't think they can in this sense. You even look at like a match earlier this season against Ipswich, right? Match ends 0-0. Brighton takes over 30 shots and only creates 1.6 expected goals. Same thing against Southampton, like you mentioned. You end up with 1.7 expected goals, but that's off of, 25 shots. So
not good.
it's
Yeah.
not good, right? And maybe I'll look this up right now, but I have, shot location, maybe I'll put up shot location data. But yeah, um, it's just one,
I
it's one
just
of those
compare
things,
them to Bournemouth, and I watch Bournemouth, and even when they play the shitty teams, Bournemouth gets so many high quality chances,
right?
and
Yeah.
Brighton just doesn't. And I think that's just really the case. I mean, Bournemouth has better attacking players, more reliable,
So
more depth. The wingers are better, I think. Like there's just a lot more to like.
yeah.
And
So I have it in front of me. Brighton has 84 shots from outside the box. That is second most behind only City, who has 101. Um,
and what is City's problem this year?
Bad shots.
It's either Holland gets a great shot or the team takes a bad one. There's no
Yeah,
there's no in between with City anymore.
and I wrote this up. If anybody wants to go read it, it's free right now. I did a tactical analysis of the Manchester Derby, and I wrote this up basically saying, I know Foden hasn't, he's played I think 890s this season, but
He hasn't
suddenly
scored, right?
no, he hasn't scored. Suddenly, all these shots from outside the box that he was making last year just aren't going in. And that's
Crazy how that works.
yeah, it's crazy how statistical regression works, right?
Yeah. Well,
So, so yeah, it's just, it's kind of maybe the same thing here with Brighton is maybe can they actually create those high quality chances? Because currently they are, I mean, they're seventh in big scoring chances. That's fine. I'd have to go take a deeper dive. Maybe that all came in, a couple matches. But yeah. So, uh, yeah, I'm passing on this. West Ham. We'll see how long Lopetegui lasts. They're bad. So I don't know. I'm just gonna pass on this one. If it
it's a
gets
game where
more,
I wish you could like parlay like Brighton over shots, West Ham spread under
yeah,
something dumb like that, where you're just like, I'm going to lean into the game state. Brighton's going to have a lot of the ball and do nothing with it, and
yeah,
probably get a goal or two, but maybe win depending on which West Ham shows up attacking wise, because
yeah,
they've been a fun, interesting team.
they have been. Yeah, for sure. All right. Last one in the 10 a.m. window: Ipswich and Newcastle. Ipswich is plus 375. Money line for Newcastle is minus 138. The draw is at plus 275. Total is sitting at about three, close to even money, a little plus money there, in that range. I would like to take the over here, but for Ipswich, Liam Delap is suspended.
Yeah.
So, and Smozik, that's how you pronounce it. Oh, he's back, but still, he's not that good. So yeah, Ipswich's like main only goal scoring threat is out. So I have no interest here. I also don't have an interest of backing Newcastle on the road. They're just a completely different team away from St. James Park. They're a weird team, honestly. I don't know if you feel this way, but it's just like I just want Eddie Howe to just like lean into what they were, 2 years ago and just go full like high press transition. But I think he also learned that they get burnt out doing that. So I don't think, they're trying to become a team that can build out of the back a little bit more. And also, teams that can exploit Newcastle. And you saw this in the final Brentford goal in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday. They're slow, right? If you can play balls in behind Newcastle, like, and you have some pace, you can exploit them. Shar and Dan Burn are two slow center backs. So yeah, I just have nothing on this one. I'm right in line with the market is projected a little bit of value on the total, but again, I that's before accounting for Delap being out. So I'm passing. What about you?
Are we sure Isak should be plus 125 to score?
That's a pretty
It
good
seems
number.
pretty appetizing to me.
That seems pretty appetizing. Yeah. He is. I was looking this up the other day. I mean, he's amazing, and I really hope Arsenal drops 100 million on him in the January transfer window.
Would be the
Uh,
perfect player.
he would be. I've,
I would love to see how Arteta
our
could
old
ruin
friend
him.
Matt Trebby keeps, sending me certain guys. I'm like, it's Ishak. That's all we need. That's the only guy we need. We don't need Evan Ferguson. We don't need any of these other, young guys. We don't need Jokerish. We need Ishak. That's who we need. Um, I was gonna look this up here, but yeah, plus 125. That's interesting. I mean,
I'm also trying to find, I'm looking now, I'm trying to find the Newcastle win from behind. Yeah,
that's a
6-1. I think
six
that's
to one.
I
That's
think that's
interesting.
interesting, right?
That
So
is
you're
interesting.
parlaying Ipswich to score first,
Yeah.
which they've been pretty good at doing this year, and you could see Newcastle coming out flat, especially off the cup game in the midweek. So they're
Yeah.
on shorter rest. They come out a little flat, and then as the game progresses, Newcastle's able to play their way back into it. So yeah,
Yeah.
Newcastle to win from behind 6-1 is interesting, and Isak to score. Ipswich to score first half is plus 145.
Yeah.
So those are just kind of like my theory on how this game could play out. Even without the lob, like I think they can surprise Newcastle here.
From the chat, are we upset we didn't get the North London Derby in the semis of the EFL Cup?
Trebi is. He was texting me hoping for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a little upset. I would have loved to have.
I will never be upset when Tottenham gets to play Liverpool. It's just fun. It's just a fun game every time.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
and Liverpool. So the cup semis are a little more spread out this year because of the Champions League format. But Liverpool's kind of safe there. I mean, they're already won every game, so they don't really need the Champions League. So I expect like Liverpool to go full in for it, and
Yeah.
Spurs the same. So it's an exciting tie, and Arsenal Newcastle has potential too. So I think
Yeah.
it's better for the casuals that who just want to watch fun matches that Arsenal drew a team that's worse than them,
Yeah.
because when Arsenal plays the big boys, Arteta leans into the worst of his
The way to
instincts.
win. The way to win. The way to win
The way
matches.
to win. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The way to win. All right. Let's move on to Arsenal since we're talking about them. Palace and Arsenal repeat of what we saw on Wednesday. Palace, this is time it's at Selhurst Park. Palace is plus 525. Arsenal's minus 182. Draws at plus 320. Totals 2.5, minus 110 both ways. This has come up. I know
Yeah, they
Arsenal.
got bet off of the game where Gabby Jesus banged in a couple
Yeah,
goals.
is he even, I mean, is he even gonna play in this match or
I
start?
think you're onto something about Arsenal shots, by the way.
Unders?
Yeah, it's just bad, man. They
Well,
don't.
no, there's the thing. It's just like, when you put a reliance on set pieces, which I'm all for, by the way. I'm
Yeah,
not
you
against that.
support it fully.
I'm fully in support of that. Like, and you want to get the highest quality shot possible, right? You're not just going to take a bunch of low quality shots like City and Brighton are doing. So, like, for example, right now, Arsenal has 55 shots from outside the box of their 226 overall for the season. They have 40 shots inside the 6 yard box. So they almost are getting close to having more shots inside the 6 yard box than they do outside the box. And that just puts a big reliance on creating the highest quality chance that you possibly can, right? So, you know, I didn't watch the match in full on Wednesday. I was paying attention to some other ones, but I do know that let me pull up the lineups here too, so I'm accurate. But Arsenal did play a very rotated squad. They played Sterling, Gabby Jesus, Leandro Trossard, Moreno, Jorginho, and Nwaneri, and then they obviously brought on Odegaard late. But yeah, I didn't look and see what I mean. I thought Arsenal's shot total was a tad low for this match. I will say this, the line continuing to come up.
Yep.
I
Should be Palace here.
yeah,
And
I
this shouldn't
want
be
to.
a full goal.
Yeah, it really shouldn't. Arsenal is what's Arsenal's shots right now? Arsenal's only at 14 and a half shots right now though. So like I
Yeah, it's
don't
not
really
that
want
good.
that's very low. But yeah, I mean it's like the same thing with Palace. I know they conceded 3 goals. I didn't look up and see what the exact XG was on that. Maybe I'll look it up right now and we can do it live. But yeah, it's Palace or nothing here. I have Arsenal minus 137. It's a little too high for Palace here at home, who I do believe are really improving right now under Glasner. And I mentioned this, if you subscribe to the Substack, I did my simulations, and Palace to finish in the top half is 10-1 right now.
Hmm.
That came in line for me. I have them at like 5-1 based on my simulations. But as I wrote, they obviously have Arsenal and Bournemouth in their next 2 matches. So it doesn't really make much sense to buy a 10-1 right now, unless you truly believe that they're going to get results in these next 2 matches. And um, I don't know. I don't really think that it's the best sensible thing to do from a futures perspective. But here, let me look up the XG from that Arsenal Palace match real quick if they have it. Arsenal 2, or excuse me. Yeah, Arsenal 2, Arsenal about 2 expected goals, Palace at 0.38. So, yeah. Okay. So yeah, for me it'd be Palace or nothing. The one worry here is if you want to back Palace, I mean, it doesn't matter who the coach is, they can't defend corners.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's see what they are. I mean, they are 17th in XG per set piece allowed this year. They're very good at defending crosses. They're very good at defending their penalty area. Like #1 in final third to box entry conversion rate allowed, fourth in expected threat allowed, third in ball recoveries, a very active, good defense out of possession. They just conceded 2 expected goals to a rotated Arsenal squad. So, I mean, that's where I'm kind of leaning more towards just passing unless this line becomes a
Well,
little bit
do we
crazy.
think Gabriel start? We do, right? Gabriel should start?
Over Havertz, yeah. Yeah, sure, why not?
No, I meant the
Oh,
defensive
Gabriel, yeah.
Gabriel.
Yep.
Magalis.
Yeah,
All
Magalis.
right.
Yeah.
8-1?
Should. 8-1 for goal score.
Yeah, right.
Yep, I think we should. I love it. For
We
people
don't
I've
do
said,
it enough.
yeah, it's they do the 6-man back post overload.
They're
And
like designing set. It's like an NBA team trying to get JJ Redick to come off a screen.
right, exactly.
Basically what
They,
it
they
is. Yeah.
leave Gabrielle in like a 1v1 against like, and whatever the
A
opponent
fellow
is.
who's not
They,
as
they
tall as
put like
him.
some small winger on him
Yeah. It
because
was
they
part of the
need
pick too, right? Yeah.
right, the other team needs their big bodies in the box to win the header that comes into the 6 yard box. But yeah, they do the 6-man back post overload. They'll either like sit back there and just like screen and just have Gabriel come up for like a dunk, or they'll take all those 6 guys and they'll just run them right across the 6 yard box. And it's like almost impossible to pick everybody up as you go through there, and it's all jumbled up. And also underrated, Saka and Declan Rice are just deliver perfect balls every single time.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's
We think
like,
Timber starts at right back.
um, I mean, with Ben White still out, he probably should. Let's see,
You could talk me into
Calafiori.
him. If we're doing props here, you could talk me into Ben White assist, or not Ben White. Sorry, yeah, Timber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Calafiori. It looks like he's healthy enough to play. Declan Rice playing. Ben White. Yeah, Ben White's out till March. Wow. Okay. So yeah, Arsenal's pretty much healthy here. Um, yeah, that's where I would look. Yeah, you can talk
All
him.
that, and I kind of like Palace at the price of the market.
Yeah, yeah. You can
I
make.
mean, you mentioned them being better, and they're just like very average. And I have a piece coming out at the Ringer at some point today. Christmas wish list for every team, and like Palace, if you just forget what the preseason expectations were and watch them every week as a fan, and just like, yeah, I like Palace. They're fun to watch. They're not a bad
Yeah.
watch. Um, they have about as many open play goals as your team. So
Yeah. I will say though, Munoz is out, Wharton's still out, and it looks like Eze might potentially miss this match as well. Looks like
I'm
he's
assuming the market movement was because of Eze.
yeah, that would be my guess too. So if Eze's out, I mean that's kind of a hard
Under 2.5.
under 2.5 maybe.
Parlayed with Gabriel to score. Arsenal
Yeah,
wins.
there
Arsenal
you
wins
go.
1-0. There
That's
you go.
great. Arsenal wins 1-0 for Gabriel goal. That's great. Yeah, Ishmael Assar looks great, and that somebody just put that in the chat. Yeah, I mentioned this before, but him playing alongside Eze has been like not as good as obviously because Elise is way better than them, but like they're figuring out some type of semblance for so great signing for them. All right, let's move on. Great Sunday slate. Great. We got 4 matches,
Always
9 a.m.
good
Eastern
Sunday.
time.
Yeah. The Sunday
Great
slates are
Sun.
always better than the Saturday ones. Just
They
obviously
are.
with the Europe stuff, but
Exactly. Um, what do you want to do? You want to do Everton first? You want to do United
yeah,
first?
make the case for Everton because I just saw you bet it, and I saw a friend of the pod, HU Capper, bet it. And look, I get it, but
All right,
um,
here's my thing.
my thing is like Chelsea's defense is not good, but Everton is the worst attack in the Prem. They are the worst, and it's not even that close.
I know. And I wrote this up, and I basically just like, yeah, their offense sucks.
But
But I think from what Everton was able to do to Arsenal, I think it's repeatable because if you watch, so I'll say this, and I keep saying this over and over, but Chelsea in and of itself, whether you go back to Pochettino or you do it now under Maresca, they are such a better transition team than a build-up team. Like their best chances come when they can get on the break with Palmer and Jackson and all of their great wingers. Like that is truly where they're most dangerous. Where they suck is when teams just sit in against them. And suddenly, if they try to get a 5-man overload, and suddenly that's so compact because Everton's going to come out in a 5-4-1 and deny all that space to the middle, and they have to send in a bunch of crosses, they don't have aerial threats. I mean, Mark Cucurella scored the goal off a cross against Brentford. Like, that's great. But, I mean, for the first half, they did not generate really any high quality chances against Brentford's 5-3-2. So if Everton comes out in that as well, I think Chelsea's really going to struggle. This is also on the road. You know, I know Everton hasn't been that great at Goodison Park this season, but um, the problem for Everton really is just like they do a good job denying space to the middle, and then they just can't defend crosses. Like, uh, I'm blanking. Oh, yeah, Arsenal still completed 4 crosses against them in their previous match, but here's what I will say is that having Branthwaite back in the lineup, him and Tarkovsky together over the
yeah,
last, since the start of last season are winning like 70% of their aerial duels, right? So a lot of the crosses they give up are those like cutback shots, which obviously count as a cross. So I guess that's the concern here for Everton. And yeah, 2 shots against Arsenal was not good. But that was also the second half. They kind of realized like what the situation they were in, and they just were like, all right, we're just going to try to play for the 0-0 draw. Um, so Chelsea also defense has been overperforming since October 20th, 11 goals allowed off of 17 expected. You saw the high line against Brentford late on in the match. I mean, if you look at the rolling XG from the match against Brentford, it was like Brentford sat in early and it was like nothing for Brentford. Then Chelsea scored and they were still playing a high line and Brentford got more aggressive with their direct passes and then suddenly it goes all the way up and they concede almost 2 expected goals. So don't tell me Everton can't do that as well, right? They got some ballers. They got
I don't
I
see
love
it.
Endai. Endai's amazing.
Under 2.5 plus 125 is really interesting to me.
Okay.
May wait to see if the three becomes a little less juicy because right now I'm best I could find was minus 135, but I just don't really know how Everton takes advantage of these teams. I mean, they have not scored in 4 of their last 5 games, and it's not like they're close. And they had the one game against Wolves, of course, when I bet the under, they scored
Yep.
4 on like the most absurd goals and finishes you'll ever see. But like they just don't really have the ability to exploit Chelsea's bigger weaknesses. And so I think you're right about that other part of it, which is like obviously at this point in the season, the Chelsea totals market and the Chelsea attack, like they're a supernova. Every game goes over, just bet Chelsea overs and retire and yada yada. there is a sell point, and I think this is an ideal matchup to sell them. But I just don't really want to buy Everton at +1. It's like +1. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, it kind of came in line to me. I know a lot of what
I get it.
Everton, a lot of my projections here. Let's do a little, because a lot of my projections for Everton are, obviously when they were an XG darling last season and couldn't win, a single match. If we just did this season, let's take a look at that.
No, you're gonna remove the priors. I didn't do it for this
I'm
one.
gonna ruin it. I still go
Chelsea
Chelsea.
gets
I still
projected out
at
to
Chelsea at
minus
like
165.
yeah. I mean, I have still at Chelsea at -132. So like it's
Yeah.
still kind
Well,
of in line there for Everton.
I mean, Chelsea have won 5 in a row, right? And I
Yeah.
just said Everton haven't scored in 4 of their last 5 matches. So naturally, from that perspective, buy low, sell high, as we say.
Yep.
I just don't really know what changes for Everton to make this better. They're a good defense. Branthwaite, since he came back, like you said, they haven't scored in 4 of their last 5. They haven't conceded in 4 of their last 5 either.
Yeah. I just wish it was.
Under
Wish
a
it.
half. What's under a half?
Um.
No goals.
The 0-0. Man,
0-0.
leave off. Would love that. I.
First
By the way,
half 0-0 plus
by the
250.
way, new era for Everton. The
Right, the
Franken
new owner bounce.
new
Yeah.
owner bounce. Yeah. I texted Michael. I was like, "Is this a good thing?" He's like, "It's better, but we're still gonna suck."
I think it'll be better.
It will be
Can't be
better.
worse.
Yeah.
Shiri
It
was
can't
so
be
bad. And
worse.
then the other group that was going to buy them like was broke. They were
They
like
were, yeah, they were
sneaky
like,
in
yeah,
debt,
they were,
777 or whatever.
yeah, certain turns out they were like fraudsters. Okay. The nil is 14-1. I'd want 20. Um,
Yeah, probably.
yeah, halftime 0-0 plus 240.
Chelsea scores in like the 8th minute, and then
Yeah, Palmer hits one from outside the box, and then it's like, all right,
game's
plus
over.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
game's
just
over
wasted a
pretty
bunch of
much.
time.
Just wasted a bunch of time on trying to make a case for Everton. Um, oh, HG Capper's in the chat right now. Nice.
HU making the case. HU, send a paragraph on Twitter about how you're betting Everton this weekend. I
Yeah.
would love to read that.
Yeah. Well, if you want to read mine, you can,
You can
subscribe.
also, yeah, subscribe to
Subscribe to the
Patriots Substack.
Substack. Okay, let's move on to let's go United against Bournemouth.
We all like Bournemouth. Next.
Game of the
No.
year. This game of the year stuff right here. United's -125. Bournemouth is +320. The draw's at
Freudian
+280.
slip there.
Yeah,
Bournemouth
I
is the
know.
new Brentford.
They are. They are the new
The
Bournemouth.
Giant Killers.
The Giant Killers. Uh, Still second best expected goal differential in the Premier League. Bournemouth. Um, I mean, I love them. I mean, how can you not love them here?
They have the better attacking quality on the field.
They do. They have the better attacking quality. And if United's going to build out short, I mean, I don't really see a scenario where they're going to like really threaten, or they're really just going to play through Brentford like it's nothing. And I also wrote this up. It's just like Brentford. I keep saying it. Bournemouth.
Bournemouth.
Because they're like Brentford. They're just dominating wide areas right now.
Yep.
Sending in some of the most crosses of anybody in the Premier League. Do a really good job of getting those wide overloads. And if you watch them, they're just like so good at not only forcing those high turnovers, but when you try to play the ball long, they can win those 1v1s, right? So if like United decides, all right, you know what? Because like City did this, is City they left a guy back on their back line to help defend. They didn't want to leave Højlund and Diallo in 1v, or their guys against Højlund and Diallo in 1v1s. Bournemouth will do that. Bournemouth's just going to come at you, and if you're not good in build up, they will punish you. They've done it to all of the big boys so far. They've done it to City. They've done it to Tottenham. They've also Arsenal had a red card, but they did it to Arsenal. Even against Chelsea, when Chelsea beat them 1-0, like they completely dominated them. So I'm going to beat United 3-0 here at home, doing that exact same thing last year. Um, so yeah, I love Bournemouth. I think it should be a pick 'em. I mean, honestly, I think it should be. I think United is still at the infancy stages of a Morium system, and it's showing signs of getting better. Like Diallo in the system makes it a lot better. And if you're wondering, people out there, I know the talking point in the media is Rashford. We've known Rashford's terrible out of possession for a really long time, and a lot of coaches just put up with it because he puts in a large number of goals. And suddenly, when you're not putting in a large number of goals and you're a passenger out of possession, like you got to make a decision. So, and that's what Amorim did. So, yeah, I love Bournemouth here. I mean, just like okay, even if we just said, you know what, throw all of that stuff I just said out the window tactically. Like, let's just look at the data. Bournemouth plus 12.3 expected goal differential, United even, right? Like, there's a 12 goal difference right now. So why is United sitting at minus 125? So yeah, Bournemouth, I don't know if it's game of the year, maybe game of the month. I don't know, somewhere in there. But yeah, love Bournemouth here. What about you?
Kepa will find a way to cook us in
Yeah, he
this.
will. It's
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah,
That's
no, I
fine.
agree. And not much to add, to be honest. I think there's not any world where you can make a case that Man United's been better than Bournemouth this season or last season. Just, Bournemouth will give up some chances on the break, sure, but this United team is not taking the step forward that I think people hope for immediately, and it's going to take some time.
It is. And I'm going to borrow a phrase from our friend Michael. I would love to meet the guy who's just willing to go lay minus 125 on United here. Because like there's got to be a fan of United or something because I don't see it. So, all right. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, if you guys have been listening or reading us for long enough now, you know where to go with that one. Let's move on. Let's do a relegation 6-pointer. Leicester and Wolves. Leicester's plus 155, Wolves plus 170, draw plus 240. Total is 2.5 minus 150 to the over. Gary O'Neill's gone. Deserved, unfortunately. Um, and I like the new manager bounce here for Wolves. The U18 coach will be in charge. Let me get his name for everybody out there, so we can remember him when Wolves wins this match. I had it right there. U18 coach Steve Davis will be in charge.
Sounds like
Imagine.
a proper lad.
Yeah, sounds like a great guy. So yeah, I mean, I'll let you go first if you have anything, but I kind of like Wolves here.
Let me pull up relegation odds. Where are we now? Have they passed Leicester yet?
I think they're pretty. No, I don't think they
They're
have
both
yet. I'd
Bet365.
say Leicester's. I mean, Leicester's kind of come into range for me from a number standpoint. I think I have Leicester at like minus 180 or so to be
To be
relegated.
relegated.
Yeah, and they're at like
Yeah,
minus
they're still
150.
way worse than Wolves.
They are. It
Um,
really.
the only difference
They've
between
stolen a
Leicester
bunch
and
of
Wolves is the
matches.
goalkeepers this year.
Yep.
Leicester have had awesome goalkeeping. Wolves have had shitty goalkeeping. Jose Sa is now, I guess, the Jekyll and Hyde keeper. He alternates
Yep.
every year, whether he's good or bad. Through great, bad, great, bad.
Let me pull up his numbers. You keep talking. I'm
It's
gonna pull them
bad.
up.
I wrote it up. They're the worst in the league in shot stopping this year, and Sa is among the worst in the post shot numbers. Sam Johnston in the limited games he's played has also been bad. So yeah, it's all bad for Wolves. But they were number one in the league last year in shot stopping. They are 20th. And funny enough, last year Villa was second, and now Villa's 19th. So
Yep.
funny how like Wolves and Villa were probably two of the biggest overperformers last year relative to expectations. Villa getting top four, Wolves 20 points clear of relegation. I don't think anybody saw that coming. And now this year they're kind of underperforming, and it's all just shot stopping variance, which is basically impossible to predict. So good luck.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
So Sa's numbers here. This is hilarious. 28 so 2021, 22 plus 7.3 post shot XG
that was
plus.
a generational year.
Yep. And then the very next year, so 2022, 23 minus 5.6. Then last year, 23 and 2023, 24 plus 8.9.
Even better.
Even better, saving almost, 0.25 goals more on average per 90 than he should. And then this year, minus 5.2 overall. Almost a half a goal per
So
90.
next year we're backing Wolves in every
Yeah,
fashion. If he's still if
exactly.
he's still the number one, we're gonna be
Yeah,
all in on the Wolves. No,
right.
they don't have to change a single thing. Just bring back Jose Sa and wait for him to turn into a
Yeah,
good goalkeeper again.
exactly. So, and now the flip side of it is Leicester, Hermanson, plus 5.8 post shot XG plus minus, almost 2 goals better than anybody else.
Had you ever
He's
heard of this
injured.
guy before this year?
He was in the championship last year and he had about the same exact numbers. But here's the thing, Anthony. He's injured. And do you know who the backup is for Leicester right now?
I actually missed that. Whoa, that's bad on me. I do
Get
not.
do do
Okay,
you know
let
the
me try to guess.
Go ahead and guess.
Let me think.
He's a
Shitty keepers.
Oh wait, he's 50. Okay, so Hermanson's now 50-50.
Oh, he's 50-50. All right, so he
Possibility.
might play.
He might
Give
play.
me a hint.
Well, he was the worst goalkeeper in the Premier League 2 years ago.
Danny Ward.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
He
that's
came in
great.
for him
I was trying to
against
think about like whose random goalkeepers we
yeah,
had because I
yeah.
know
So
like Alex
Danny
McCarthy,
Ward might
Bazunu, but I was like they're still in the world of
yeah.
Southampton somewhat.
Danny Ward might be in net for this match, which is obviously a significant downgrade from what is the best
The
shot stopping
Mads, yeah,
keeper, yeah, right now. Here's the thing for Wolves though. I was diving deep into this. Um,
too deep.
all of their what you would call, I guess, underperformance defensively, where they've conceded 37 goals off of 27 expected. It's all set pieces. 14 set piece goals allowed off of 5.8 expected. They just cannot defend them for whatever reason. And the good news for them, though, is Leicester has quite literally created the fewest expected goals off of set pieces this year. And for Wolves, a lot of their problems under Gary O'Neill have been just like not being able to deny space through the middle. Like they have good ball winners there. Like, Gomez and Lamina are pretty decent, but they're not a good pressing team. And when Wolves gets into a negative game state and they're forced to press and they're forced to come up high, once that first line of pressure gets broken, it's just like open season through the middle. And if you go
Yeah,
back and watch the match against Ipswich, like that's what Ipswich did a couple
Everton
different
too,
times.
actually,
Everton
which is
too,
kind of
like
funny.
right,
Yeah.
like it's like that's
Mhm.
not good if like those teams are going through the middle. Now, the good news for them again, Leicester, they can't defend. They're not good on set pieces, but um, Rude is a big believer in wide overloads, and Leicester's going to be kind of become a crossing team here. But yeah, like even if you just look at overall numbers, like there's like a 7 goal difference in terms of underlying numbers between these two sides. I also wrote this up. Wolves is, -3 expected goal differential against teams in the bottom half of the table. If you remove their match against Brentford, they would actually have a positive expected goal differential against teams in the bottom half. I mean, even if you look at their last 4 matches, positive expected goal differential against Everton, West Ham, and Ipswich, but they lost all 3 of those matches. Um, so yeah, I like Wolves here. Draw no bet plus 102, which is at FanDuel right now. So I think that who does I'm thinking Leicester had somebody where maybe we could yeah. Leicester relegation is interesting to me as well.
What if you just do? Because I do think the other two are pretty safe. I mean, Ipswich could still make a run, but I doubt it. What if you just bet? Bet 365 has Wolves no relegation -110. I think I might invest there. I think this is probably the high water mark for
Here, let me pull up my simulation
that.
really quick for you. I have Wolves
They really
at
blew this stretch, though. I mean, they
they
lost to
did.
3 of the 6 worst teams in the league in a row. That's a killer, and they shouldn't have lost any of the games, really. So,
Yeah. I have Wolves -103 to stay up right now.
so you don't want to
So
lay -110 there.
I don't really want to lay -110. Oh, I'm a real sharp and I bet them at like -200, like 2 months ago to stay up. So
I think you'll still cash that ticket, but
I
we'll see. I
hopefully
mean,
I
the,
have
the
let's
relegation
see.
race when these teams have so few points, it only takes like 2 results to totally change the whole
I'll
picture.
put
So
it this way. I have a lot of money invested in Ipswich to be relegated. I have a lot of money invested in Everton Wolves to stay up. So if Everton Wolves go down and Ipswich passes them, there'll be some real problems. Okay. Let's move on to all right, last one in the 9 a.m. window. Fulham Southampton. Russell Martin's gone. I don't have anything. It'll be interesting to
no,
see who Southampton gets as their next head coach. I haven't seen
if
anything.
they try to be more normal bad team, the under's appealing, but I don't really want to
Yeah.
bet it until I see it, so I'm passing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm passing.
I'm
I think
done with
Fulham
this.
might be a little bit overvalued here, but
They are.
I
Yeah.
don't really want to back Southampton. All right. So that'll do it for the
I mean,
Premier
Fulham's
League.
-250 to win a game. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. All right, so that'll do it for the Premier League. Bundesliga. We both like the Gladbach this weekend against Hoffenheim. I'm assuming you like Gladbach.
I
I
do.
mean, I'll let
Yeah,
you go.
I think they're decent. And I've watched way too much this year, but been impressed by how they've. I mean, they always do well against the better ish teams, but um, for the season now, they have not had their Super Bowl yet, which is coming up in a few weeks, and I can't wait to bet Gladbach in a few weeks. But yeah, I mean, XG difference is like clearly above average now. They have about as good numbers as like Stuttgart and Frankfurt overall. If you strip out some of like the noise stuff, they're like the fifth best team in Germany. I'm not sure I buy that necessarily, but they've taken it to the shitty teams that they've had to do, and they've been, they were like pretty even with Dortmund, um, pretty even with Frankfurt in a loss. Like they've been right there a lot this year, and I think it's a very like sixth, seventh ish team going forward. Hoffenheim defensively is a disgrace. I mean, they give up
Yeah.
everything. Everything you want to get, you can get against Hoffenheim. So I think they really should be a toss up at worst here. So I took the
Yeah.
quarter goal. I like them drawing a bet. I'm with you on that. So
Yep. I'm with that, yeah, as well. So yeah, I mean, I
Bach to
wrote this
Bach, baby.
Bach to Bach. Yep, that's right. Very good transition team, Bach. Very good getting wide overloads. Kleinenstein, is that how you pronounce his name?
Clydenheist. Yeah.
Clydenheist, Clydenstein. I combined Clydenheist and Heidenheim together because that's where he played last year.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great. Great aerial threat for them when they want to send in all those crosses. Okay, that will yeah, that's
By the
all I have.
way,
We'll see.
January 11th, Munich is at Gladbach.
By
So
the way, I looked at
pencil
this
that in.
morning.
Next match.
I need to look at injuries. Bayern just got like steamed hard this morning against Leipzig because that match is
Is
happening.
Harry Kane back?
I don't here. I'm gonna look it up because Bayern went from like minus 330-ish in that range to minus 500, and now Leipzig is plus two.
That's just not
Which
correct.
that's just not correct. That's too high. So now I need to look up Bundesliga injuries because I don't know if all of Leipzig's team is injured or if Harry Kane's back or what the deal is here. And let's look it up here. Um,
Bayern has not been great against
yeah,
the other big
Alfonso
team.
Davies
They have
out.
not.
So as of right now, it looks like Harry Kane is out until January 11th.
That's what I thought. They said the winter break, so I'd
Yeah,
imagine last game before it, they're not going to rush him back.
Paulinho, Coleman, Alfonso Davies, and Neuer are all likely to miss this match, I guess. Um,
They've all been out though, for the most part.
I don't see any significant injuries for Leipzig. I might have to bet Leipzig here today.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't want to do that. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
They're pretty bad, and I really don't want to, but two?
Two is
That's
ridiculous.
that's high. Okay, let's see. Let me look at my projections here. What
They
do I
beat Frankfurt twice in the last month. They were competitive with Villa at home. It was a
I
good
mean, they
game.
just went up. They went up a full half goal when I logged this earlier. So I went and yeah, I mean, I have like 2% edge on it, I guess, but like that is so high. Okay, I might have to
Should
add.
Bayern be laying two against an above average Bundesliga team
I don't know about that. I mean, they are
without Harry Kane?
without Harry Kane. I
Like
don't.
their attack without Kane is very lackluster. I mean, the Dortmund game,
Yeah.
once he went off, it was like kind of mediocre. They lost the Pokal game. There was a red card. Neuer got a red card against Leverkusen. But then, the Mainz game, they were just okay. And you're starting to see some defensive regression for them too. That's been noticeable. Like Shakhtar had multiple big scoring opportunities in that game, and then Mainz did too. So I think there's some real questions about Bayern without Kane. Like they just don't really have a central shot creator. It's all just a bunch of wingers and Musiala.
So here's the thing. Okay, so I looked up a site that just has expected return dates, and then I just Googled Harry Kane injury update. Here's what Vincent Company said yesterday, and this is probably why you're seeing the line move as much as it did. But again, moving 100 and
I'm looking at FanDuel just hit minus 600. What the hell is going on here?
it says he said okay. It says I don't want to say whether he'll start or not. Training today is important. If everything goes well, hopefully he'll play a role tomorrow. That doesn't sound like he's going to start and play 90 minutes to
No.
me, but maybe he's just smoke screening us. I don't know, but yeah, it's Harry and yeah, the chat says Harry and Ben and Alfonso Davies are both back. That's fine, even if they are back. Like still,
Kane matters a lot.
the Kane obviously matters a ton.
Davies doesn't really matter that much.
So maybe here's what I'll,
Rafa Guerrero is as good as a deep lying passer as there is in this European soccer.
yeah. So here's what I'll say then. I'll wait. I mean, this is kind of like a tricky thing to do because like if you wait and you see Kane is on the bench, then this line's going to crash down to like minus
Well, I
400.
think somebody knows something. I think he's going to play.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's probably the case. So I'll wait. I'll wait until lamps come out. And
Knowing Harry Kane, he'll be in the starting lineup.
yeah,
Just
and if
how
he
he
even
is
if
with
he's in
sitting.
there and if Byron goes to like minus 600 and I can still get plus two at a plus number, I think I have to do that and just watch Byron win 4-0. Um, I think I have to do that. Okay, so pay attention to my Twitter. I'll post all my picks later today. All right, let's Serie A. I have one, and it's a Friday match today as well. I really like AC Milan on the road against Verona.
Missing their
Pulisic
best player.
Yep, Pulisic is out. That's obviously a problem. But what I wrote up on my big Substack article is, Verona's been just getting killed by the really good teams. And the big problem they have is they like to defend in either, a 5-3-2 or 4-4-2, but when teams can drop strikers and attackers deep in build up, they never follow them. So there's all this space in the middle. And I was watching the highlights of them when they got killed by Inter. Inter just kept doing this over and over again and just, making like simple passes off of high back line. And our buddy Alvaro Morata dropping deep in build up, he does that, about as good as any striker in the world. He may not be able to finish at a high rate, but his tactical awareness and ability to help and build up is definitely elite. And also AC Milan this season against teams in the bottom half of the table have a +8 expected goal differential. So even though Pulisic is out for this match, I definitely think they have enough. And I don't think, listen, they were -175, and with Pulisic out, they dropped to -140. I love Christian Pulisic. I don't think he's worth that much to the line. So I like AC Milan. Do you have anything for Italy this weekend?
Tempted by Como against Inter. I know Inter just had an epic beatdown of Lazio. They took care of Udinese, but I like this Como team. I think they're underrated. And I think their defense is actually quite good, and they can kind of make this an ugly, pre
Yep.
Christmas game here. So Como is interesting to me. Somebody asked me on Twitter the other day, like, who are the most underrated teams? And Gladbach and Como were the two teams that came up
Yep.
in my numbers, kind of like teams I think are underrated right now. So interested in them. And then I was also looking at potentially backing, just getting square and saying like Atalanta, the way they're playing right now against one of the worst teams in the league at home. Are we sure it should only be 1.5? Because I can lay -110, and Empoli's attack is the worst in the league by margin,
Yep.
wide margins. So I was tempted to just be square and lay Atalanta too.
Yeah, I had some value on both teams to score no there, so maybe an Atalanta to win nil. What's that? Let's see. What is Atalanta to win nil? I might have to bet that. But yeah, you think they're gonna win you think they're gonna
Hope
yes,
so.
they're gonna do it?
I never bet it, so they'll win it. Steve's
Yes.
my buddy, Cerruti bet it. He's got like a 16-1. He brings it up every
Yep.
week, just rubs it
Yep.
in my face that he bet it, and then I
Yep.
didn't. After he gave up on it after like 3 weeks too, because they were bad
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, they're this is the best iteration of Atalanta we've ever seen. The last 12
Oh
months.
yeah. The Atalanta -110 to win nil. That's interesting. I might have to do that. All right, let's move on finally to Spain again. No, no, nothing in France this weekend.
Big
They're
one
off.
this weekend, huh?
Big, big,
Are we
big one.
sure the line's right in that game?
The Barcelona Atletico one.
Yeah, I kind of like Atletico a lot.
I kind of do too. If we were to build an underdog parlay,
Atleti would be in it.
Atleti would be in it. Bournemouth would be in it.
Yep.
And if there is a Gladbach 2-1 out there, Gladbach would be in it.
All right, so let's make it that. Who
We'll
cares
just
if it's
do,
2-1? They're still
yeah,
a dog.
they're still like
So
+195.
Gladbach, Atletico Madrid,
Let me look it
and
up. And Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. You want to run
Yeah,
that
I
and see
mean,
what it
listen,
is?
I wrote this up a couple weeks ago, but Simeone's just going back to old school. Old school 4-4-2 low block. No more of this 5-3-2 crap. No more of this like wide overloads. It's just like back to basics. And they've been winning
Yeah.
and they've been good.
Hmm.
So I know Barcelona's offense is crazy awesome, but I think that they are limited by that high line. I'll be flat honest.
Yes.
I think that the ceiling of what they can be is obviously incredibly high, but the floor, it just is there's so much variance in it. And I think it truly does limit them. So yeah, let's see.
It's
Atletico
not a
is
great buy low, sell high because we're getting Barca after a bunch of not wins and Atleti after a
yeah.
bunch of wins. But I really think the market's just got way too gung ho on Barca.
Yep,
So
I agree. Let's see. Gladbach best price you can find right now is +195. So yeah, it's right
we'll
there.
count it.
Okay, we'll count it. So yeah, kind of like Atletico. Again, I mean, I have Barca at like +106 in that
I'm at
range.
plus 112.
So I mean, if we can get, if somehow Barcelona gets steamed a little bit, we get Atletico, at a better plus a half price, I may take them. But yeah, probably just throw them in a money line parlay.
Tafe Mallorca today,
No, it's early morning
early
tomorrow.
tomorrow. All right.
Yeah, that's the group.
Girona's today. That's right.
Yeah, Girona, Valladolid. I like both teams to score no in that one. Valladolid's awful, just absolutely an awful team. But Girona's
Yeah, they're
attack
bad.
is not
Plus
great
one and a
either.
half was looking at me for a second there. I thought about it,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I
it's a
mean,
game I would never
Girona.
bet if it was Saturday morning. So I'm not just going to just bet it
Yeah,
just to bet it.
Girona is. Yeah, I've said this before. They're only averaging 1.12 non-penalty per 90 minutes. Expected goals, that is. Um, Failed to create over one expected goal in 6 of their last 8 La Liga matches. Valladolid's just they're an awful offense. I don't really know what else to say about it. Just low block and they can't really create anything. So both teams scored no at -118 for me.
I'm
And then
starting to wonder is Atleti because they'll just shut the game down if it's 1-1. I was thinking like Atleti team total better than Atleti plus a half, but I don't think so.
no, yeah, because old school again. We
Yeah,
can't, we got to remember that. And then Getafe Mallorca. This is my favorite bet of anything all weekend long. This match will end 0-0. I can almost promise you that. But over 1.5 at -120. I love that. I projected a little over 2 goals for this one. It was funny. I was reading a great article about Getafe in The Analyst, Anthony, about their coach and how all of the like top coaches, whenever they play Getafe, they just complain about how it's like not even football, like how it's not even fun to like play against them. And he's basically just like, yeah, I don't care.
you
And
shouldn't. Not part of
and
the game. Although
yeah,
there
they
is a
they
case to be made. It's like a
yeah.
what do we do sports for? And we could do an hour
Yeah,
on that.
exactly.
But like to be entertained or to win,
Right.
like there is a balance there. I don't.
There is.
I
And
like to be entertained, and also winning is nice.
the Getafe matches this season are the ball is in play for 46% of the time, just because there's so many fouls and just it's
An
not
art form,
yeah, it's an art
dark
form,
arts.
dark arts in a sense. But I like over 1.5 here at -120. I don't think we're ever going to see a total this low the entire season. It's four
Tough
four
to get
two.
lower than these two teams.
You can't get lower. And it's 4-4-2 low block. Both teams are extremely direct. But I'll say this is just like sometimes, not all the time, because sometimes in these type of matches, teams just like Getafe will say, Marca, you're the ones who got to control possession. Like, we're not even going to try. Sometimes when you get two very direct teams playing against each other, you get more chances than you would typically expect because it becomes very back and forth. If teams aren't just like sitting in a low defensive structure like they normally would against teams that control possession like Barcelona, Real Madrid, etc. So, for me, I mean, I projected 2 goals for this match. I mean, over 1.5 at -120. It's so low. Again, this match will end 0-0. I can almost promise you that. But I think that this total is way too low. So those are the 2 picks I have in Spain. Do you have anything else besides Atletico?
No, but I think so. Somebody messaged in the chat. Steve Gregory said, I just finally pulled up the chat for the first time. Uh, Ivan Juric is. I just googled this. He took the job this morning.
Oh, he did. That's a
Yeah,
great hire.
agreed to deal. Lining up as
He
of
was
30 minutes
great at
ago from the
Torino.
Guardian. All right, so we're gonna obviously not tomorrow, but or
Yeah.
Sunday, but
Who's Southampton got on deck on
Southampton under is gonna become our thing now. Like he's
I
just
guess
gonna.
so. From
They're gonna
Torino.
completely change course mid-season on what they are as a
Yep.
team.
And I said that, so I did say this when back when Wonder Girl was still around in our preview show. One thing I said when we were talking about relegation, I was just like, I mean, listen, Southampton playing this way is not gonna work on a Russell Martin, but at least they have the talent that if they have to change course in the middle of the season, that they can make some semblance
You think they can?
of a talent wise, yeah.
I'll
Because
have to
like
look into it.
think about this, like if let's just say they had the talent level of Ipswich because they have more talent than Ipswich.
They do, yeah.
If Ipswich had to just change course, which they're kind of having to do right now because they can't control possession, like they have no chance, right? Like they at least, guys like Flynn Downs and Tyler Dibling and the center backs they have, Hardwood Bellis, like, these guys are decent players and they can play multiple systems, at least I think they can. So Ivan Juric, it's a great hire.
Juric.
Juric.
Juric. Yeah, it's a Y.
Juric.
Hmm.
All right.
I think
Who,
I don't, is he,
he's
what
Croatian,
is,
right?
is he Croatian or Serbian?
I think Croatian. Let me look him
One or the
up.
other. Let's see.
He is Croatian.
Croatia.
Yeah, he was great at Torino.
Oh yeah, we used to love that. That team
Yeah.
was a cash cow for a couple years.
Yeah, he was there for the 3 years that he was there, 2021 to 24. He was great. And then he got a raw deal at Roma because there's just so much instability there. Never really had a chance to do anything. All right, so that'll kind of do it. Just I'll give it a few minutes. If anybody has any questions in the chat, we'd be happy to answer anything. If people want to put them in there, I was gonna look up to see who Southampton has on deck on Boxing Day. Oh, they have West Ham,
Mm.
and they're plus 230
At home,
at home.
tempting.
That is tempting.
He's also just a good motivator. I think
He is
obviously the
too.
shit at Roma didn't go well.
It didn't go
The
well,
Roma
no. But
thing
he,
was
he,
a
he had no
disaster, but
time. Like he had no time to
no
do.
time. And there are bigger issues there.
Oh, there's way bigger issues
So
than that.
Southampton stay up.
Southampton State. They're
Probably
like,
not gonna. They're a little too deep in the hole. I think
I think, yeah, they might be a little too deep in the hole, but I might as well just look.
they have 5 points.
Um,
They're on
10,
pace to break to come close to breaking the Derby record. They're not going to break the Derby record, but
10 to 1 to stay up. That could be fun. I mean, listen, like the bar, like look. I mean, if you just look at the
you're
top
only
of the
going to need
table, like
30. I think. Yeah,
it's like a massive bar to clear to like get up. Wait, no, I don't want Champions League. I want Premier League. Um, it's not a massive bar to clear to get there. I mean, if Wolves continues to suck and Leicester is just sitting there in 17th with 14 points, I mean, I mean, listen, if they upset Fulham this weekend and Leicester loses to Wolves, I mean, we're within 6 points there. We got a whole half a season to go here. And their underlying numbers are just as bad as Ipswich and Leicester. So you could make a case for that. But yeah, great hire for them. Let's see. I was gonna look up to see what my projection is for Southampton and West Ham on Boxing Day.
well, all the
Uh,
Southampton numbers are pretty cooked, but even still, I don't know that West Ham should be that big of a road favorite.
yeah, I have West Ham at plus 115. Interesting. Um, okay. Let's see here. All right. If you guys don't have any questions before we go, I'm gonna go ahead and end this thing. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Thank you, Anthony, for coming on. This is always a lot of fun talking to you again.
Yep, always fun.
Keeping this like whole Wonder Goal thing kind of revived.
Real quick, title odds these days. Where's Arsenal priced? You buying?
Well,
I have to get an Arsenal
as
jacket.
somebody who's
Yeah, you're already invested,
I'll put
right?
it this way. If I was not invested in Arsenal currently,
You still shouldn't.
no, you should.
Plus, they're worse
Arsenal's
than
plus,
Chelsea now. Wow. All
yeah,
right.
they're plus. I saw that the other day. Yeah, so I have Arsenal at about 3 to 1 to win the title, and they're at plus 375. So that's come in range for me if you want to bet Arsenal. Of course, I think they can do it. I think Liverpool will have a little bit of a slide. I don't think they can continue this pace for a full season, especially with um, basically playing the exact same squad, in 3 different competitions, 4 different actually.
Maybe they'll just win the quadruple.
Maybe they will. And you know what? And hats off to them. Maybe they will. Maybe I'll just be dead wrong. Villarreal this weekend against Leganes. I don't
Yeah,
know.
where's the market on that game? Because I was,
They're minus 110 right now.
yeah, I make that value, but I need to look more into Leganes and
Yeah,
figure
I
out
make them
why
minus
I'm lower than
126.
them every game.
Yeah, and I've been betting against them quite a bit. So I don't know if I really want to jump back on them now. So yeah. Also, no live stream for Boxing Day. I can't. The only day I would make it work was Monday. Morata's out for Milan. That's okay. We'll be okay without him. So yeah, no live stream for Boxing Day. Maybe I'll have to look at the schedule because there's a full slate on Sunday right after Boxing Day, if I'm not mistaken.
It's spread out over a few days. I think there's like a
It's
Sunday,
spread over a few
Monday.
days.
Yeah.
Monday. Okay. I'll figure out a time and I'll let everybody know on Twitter when I'll do a next live stream. I'll have a, I mean, if you, for people on the Substack, I'll have a full Boxing Day article for you. With all the picks there. I'll still continue to post them on my Twitter as well. Um,
We've
was kind
got
of looking,
six on Sunday, 3 on
yeah,
Monday, and then New Year's Day there's a game.
right. One thing I also am going to do, and maybe I can, you don't have to answer this right now, Anthony, but maybe I can convince you to do this with me. Um, there's a midweek Premier League slate, January 4, Monday, starts Tuesday, January 14th. I think on that Wednesday or yeah, that Wednesday because it's
Oh,
North London Derby.
the North London
I'm
Derby
gonna
is
do
a
a lot.
midweek game.
I'm gonna do a
That's
live
bad.
watch. I'm gonna do a live watch along here. So maybe I can convince Anthony to come on with me during the
For a
North London
Derby,
Derby.
I could do it.
Yeah.
Wednesday's a good day for me too. So
Yeah, January 15th. So mark that on your calendars. I'm gonna try to do a live stream. There's also, there's some other matches: Everton, Villa, Leicester, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Wolves. Um, but yeah, I think during the North London Derby that'd be a lot of fun. And who knows, maybe I'll even go back to back days. Maybe I'll do live during the though there's some great matches on that Tuesday as well. Brentford at home against City, Chelsea hosting Bournemouth, Forest and Liverpool.
yeah, that's a
So
great slate. Yeah.
that's a great site. So maybe I'll go back to back days. So that's kind of what I'll do. What I'll update. Yeah, I will update the Google file once I'm done with this, essentially. And uh, yeah, I think that's a couple things that are coming down the line. I think we have after that midweek slate. Or no, before that on the weekend. That's when the FA Cup is, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
EFL Cup semis, then FA Cup, and then the midweek Prem, and then the following week is Champions League, back-to-back weeks of Champions. It's going to be
Right.
chaotic. January last year, there was like a month off. This year, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Because of HAFCON and the Asian Cup, they basically just like took a month off. And now, yeah, it's gonna be crazy this January. So I usually don't do anything for the FA Cup, but I'm gonna take a deep dive and try to do some projections for that.
Good luck.
And yeah, I know, right? I think
Early
I
round
have a
FA
good
Cup, like
I have a good outline of what I want to do. I just need to, get down and do it. I'll have simulations, hopefully, for the Champions League and like doing it out in the tournament format. Hopefully by the next round of Champions League matches, which is late January, I think. After all of this, but yeah, a lot of stuff coming down the line. I'll have my picks out later today. Thanks again, Anthony, for coming on, and everybody, good luck with your bets this weekend. Okay. We are not live anymore.
cool. That was
Okay.
fun.
That was fun. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
We
I would
have
definitely
we